do yesterday's reading tonight. It really doesn't make any real big difference on today if you don't have yesterday's done. So it's not the end of the world. Today shouldn't be confusing or anything for you. Alrighty, so we're gonna start off. Over here. And where am I at? We're gonna start off looking at the vocabulary from yesterday. The vocab from yesterday. Jack, would you pick out a word and remind us of its meaning? One of ours from the video this week.
Ideology.
And what does ideology mean, Jack?
Is a set of beliefs.
Is your set of beliefs. How did the video use the term ideology? Do you remember, Jack?
I think it was when they were talking about the Great Plains.
Yep, a little bit. Does anybody remember specifically whose ideology they were talking about, Kyler?
Abraham Lincoln.
Does anybody remember what Abraham Lincoln's ideology was? John?
Give everyone a chance.
Yeah, very good. And so what did Abraham Lincoln believe? He believed that everybody deserved a chance. And in this case, it was everybody deserved a chance to own some land. They wanted to make it so that everybody could own land, not just the rich people. What's another word from yesterday that we learned? Ryan, go for it.
Domain.
Domain. What does domain mean?
The land is territory that he or she owns.
The land that somebody owns or controls, right? And does anybody remember how it was used in the video? Legend?
It said Uncle Sam's domain.
And what did we decide that meant? Were they talking about Tate's Uncle Sam? Was it Tate that had an Uncle Sam?
It was
Ellie, Uncle Sam? No, it wasn't. We weren't talking about that. Who does Uncle Sam refer to?
America's.
America's
Government.
government. America's government. So it's the government's domain, the land that is under the government's control. Elliot, what was another word that we learned yesterday? Residence. What does residence mean?
A place where people live.
A place where people live. And so in the video, all of those people were headed to the Great Plains, to the Midwest, to take up a new residence. They wanted to create a new place to live and farm and be. What was another word that we learned yesterday? Kimber, what was another one?
We learned about homestead.
We did learn about homestead. And what is a homestead, Kimber?
Homestead was a piece of land in the western region that was claimed and lived on.
Yeah, and so the residences that all of those people in the video were trying to get to was the homesteads. How did they use homestead in the video? It was a little bit different. Ellie, how did they use the word in the video?
They were referring to the Homestead Act.
They were talking about the Homestead Act, which was the law that was passed that allowed people to create the homesteads, where they got the land for either really, really cheap or for free in some cases. And so that was the law that Congress passed to allow people to do that. Colin, what was the last word that we learned yesterday?
Primary.
Primary. What did primary mean?
The primary is something that is primary is the highest importance.
The highest importance, or the first thing, or the first reason. We talked about how Tate had two residences. She had her townhouse and she has her out of town house. Her primary residence, or her most important one, is the one outside of town. The one in town is her secondary. It's not the most important one, but it's there. Do you remember how they used primary in the video? Jack, do you remember?
They were saying the primary reason they moved to the Great Plains.
Yeah, and what was the primary reason that people were moving to the Great Plains? Allie?
For land.
For the land. That was the main reason or the most important reason. Kyler?
Also for the soil was good, and then there wasn't much rocks there either.
Yeah, the soil was really good for growing the crops that they were hoping to grow. And so the land was good. They wanted the land because it was free, or it was really reduced in price. And it was really good land. The soil was really fertile, is the word that they used. So today you will have one vocabulary page that has all of our vocab words from this video. You have to choose the sentence that best fits the meaning of the word as it's used in our story. So if you start on number 1, you would see where it says domain. You just pick the sentence that fits the meaning of domain the best. Your choice. And then down here, choose 2 critical vocab words and use them in a sentence. You can use them in 1 or 2 sentences. If you can't come up with one that makes sense with 2 words in it, then you can make them into 2 separate sentences. I'm not too picky. But this one, you would be able to, some of these match up really well. You might be able to come up with 1 sentence with 2 words in it. What do you think you should do to the vocabulary words in your sentence? Underline them so I know where the vocab words are and I can make sure you're using them correctly. Legend?
If say like we needed to like put like an S on like homesteading, can you put like ing at the end of something?
Yeah, if you needed to, I wouldn't
Like
be super against it. If
homesteading.
you needed to make it something a little bit different, but don't change the word completely.
Alright.
Sounds make sense? All right. So that will be one of your jobs for today. I don't know why that's in there. That's the wrong slide, but that's okay. This is the right slide. So go ahead and take out your anchor chart binder and open up to text structure. This is probably the one we talked about very most, isn't it? I think this is the one where Colin's page was falling out of his book.
This is the guy. the
Text
guy with green-
structure.
the green heart.
My point of view is towards the middle end, right? I don't know why I opened it, but it's not here. He doesn't need it. I just needed to put it on his
It's
file.
my point of view in nonfiction.
Yeah.
Because there's 2 point of views, one in nonfiction and one in.
Alrighty. So we know that text structure is what? We've talked about it so many times. You can tell me what is text structure. When I'm talking about text structure, I'm talking about what? Kane?
What's that mostly about?
No, that's the central idea. That's the central idea. What would text structure be? John,
How the text is set up,
how it's set up or what, Kyler?
organized.
Organized. I like that word organized. How they organize the information in the story. Because we know there are different ways to organize the information in the story. So some of those ways are to compare and contrast, to use cause and effect, to use sequential or logical order, and to use problem and solution. Okay. Sometimes they might use one organizational structure for the whole video or story that you watch or read. And sometimes they use different ones. We know that we've had a couple different stories where they use different text structures throughout the entire story. And so it's our job to recognize those text structures as we read through the story because it can help us better understand the information they're trying to give us. Okay. So what do we look for when we're trying to decide what text structure a story is? What do we look at? What are a couple different things we can look for? Logan, what do we look for? What? Yep, that's one of them. But I'm asking if I were to be looking for cause and effect, what do I look for in the text to be able to decide? Ryan?
Transition words.
Mm-hmm. The transition words are helpful because they can give us little clues as to what text structure we can find. What's challenging about this week? What would be challenging about this week? Somebody maybe explain, why is this week in this particular story a little more challenging for text structure? Ellie?
Because it's a video and not a story that you can go back and actually like look.
Exactly. We can't go looking for transition words. We have to listen for the transition words, right? So this time I'm going to give you a hint. I'm going to tell you what text structure is in the text, and you're going to find examples of that text structure as we watch through the video again. So this time we're going to talk a little bit more about one of the ones that we haven't talked about a lot, cause and effect. Cause and effect is when you have something that happened and they state the reason why it happened, right? The purpose is to explain what happened and why it happened, the cause and the effect of that cause. So there's a couple different ways you can think about cause and effect. If I walked up to Izzy and I pushed her, what would happen? She'd fall over. Which one is the cause? Raise your hand. Which would be the cause? Which would be the cause? Elliot?
Getting pushed.
The push. And what would be the effect of that push? Freeland? That she fell over, right? The cause is the why and the effect is the what. Okay? So we have to take a look at what's going on in the story to be able to decide the causes and the effects. So you can listen for the transition words because, so, in order to, as a result. The biggest one is usually because, right? It even has the word cause right inside of it. Because of this happened. Because I pushed Izzy, she fell over, right? So we're going to take a look, or I guess we're not going to take a look. We're going to take a listen to the story again. And we're going to see if we can pick out some examples of cause and effect. So what I want you to do is open up your My Book.
I even remember what Mom said. I might have to have. I'll say now.
And I want you to be open to page 271. 271. Yeah, what's the other one? Central idea? Yeah. So on page 271, along the side, that's where you're going to take some notes to see if you can find any cause and effect during this video. We're going to watch through one time as a class, and we're going to just take that time to see if we can pick out any cause and effect as we watch through the video. Okay? Anything that you think might be a good example of cause and effect, I want you to take notes. The best way to do this, and I know you don't have a ton of space, is actually, do you know what you could do? Since we have both sides, on page 270 of your story, put cause. And then on the opposite side, put effect. And 271, right? Then you can kind of organize your thoughts. And so don't write this down, but it's just like an example. So if I were watching the video and it popped up and it was Mrs. Johnson pushed Izzy and Izzy's chair fell over, on this side you would write Mrs. Johnson pushed chair. And then go to the other side and write the effect was Izzy fell over. Right? So that way you can organize your ideas, the cause and the effect for each particular thing. And it might be helpful too, if you have to like go a couple lines down to do bullet points. And then whenever you start a new cause, start a new bullet point so that you don't, your ideas are in a clear, organized order. That make sense? Mm-hmm. Then you can keep track of the causes and the effects and then start a new one down. Okay? So I'm going to have Simeon hit the lights for us while I get the video pulled up and shared to our Zoom. Share this. Share. And I'm going to turn up my volume, I think. All right. Make sure you are quiet and listening. I'll wait till all the voices turn off.
It was called the Great American Desert, a wasteland, a barrier to be crossed on the way to the Pacific coast. The flat, treeless prairie was some of the most fertile land on the continent, yet to early explorers accustomed to thickly forested landscapes, the land looked worthless. To others, the vast prairies of the Midwest offered a chance to achieve the working class dream of land ownership and economic independence.
Be it enacted by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled, that any person who is the head of a family or who has arrived at the age
At the height of the Civil War, passage of the Homestead Act brought an end to decades of bitter controversy over federal land policy. The act at last achieved what so many had worked so long for, ensuring that it was not just the rich and powerful who would claim the unbroken plains, but anyone willing to work to achieve their dream.
All right, so that's one really good example. We'll start with that one as a class. So what would be the cause and what would be the effect that we just heard there? Legend, what did you hear?
I heard like the people like sign this like thing for people, like not just the rich can get the land.
And what caused that? So not, let's say, poor can also get land. That would be the effect. What caused that to be able to happen? Can somebody tell me what caused that to be able to happen? Jack?
The homestead.
The Homestead Act. Because of the Homestead Act, people were able to get land, not just the rich. So the cause would be the Homestead Act. And the effect would be that poor can also get land, not just the rich. Does that help at all, Ally? Yeah. Maybe I just need to get a little curtain there for in the morning.
Yeah. Or the things that they used to have on the old, the big green things, and then they had magnets and stuck them over the windows.
All right. I'm gonna play the video on. If you pick out any sort of cause and effect, make sure you write it down.
Of becoming landowners.
lands upon which said person may have filed a preemption claim.
All of this was part of a general philosophy of the Republican Party, but especially of Abraham Lincoln, which has been called the right to rise, the free labor ideology, a dynamic kind of democratic capitalism, and the opportunity for farmers to take up 160 acres of land and to develop that land very much fit in with this philosophy, which was at the core, I think, of Lincoln's ideology. Give everybody an opportunity, and then if they work hard, they'll get ahead and they'll develop America.
So what did Abraham Lincoln think? How can we put a cause and effect into that? Logan?
The right to rise is the cause, and the effect is that everyone gets an opportunity.
I'm gonna disagree just a tiny bit. I like your effect that everyone gets an opportunity. Everyone gets an opportunity. But what is that right to rise?
It's the speech. Or the speech that you-
No, it's not a speech. Kimber?
It was basically about Lincoln's ideology, his belief that everyone should get an opportunity.
So what would be the cause that everyone gets an opportunity then? Freeland?
that,
What would cause everyone to get that opportunity then? Ellie?
Would be Abraham Lincoln's ideology.
Yeah, because of Abraham Lincoln's ideology. Whoops. Ideology. Everyone got an opportunity. Everyone was allowed an opportunity because of Abraham Lincoln's ideology. So our cause would be Abraham Lincoln's ideology, and our effect would be that everyone gets an opportunity. An opportunity to what? More specifically, the opportunity to what, Brian?
Only.
Own land. Yeah, I'm gonna add that in there.
Own land. Everyone gets an opportunity on land.
Oh, I suppose I need a 2 in there, right? To own land.
It's reading.
All right, And then, do you know, I think that there was another one in there. I'm gonna back it up just a tiny bit. And I want you to listen really close, because I think there's another one we could pick out in there. And it comes after Lincoln's ideology. He thinks everybody should get land. And when everybody gets land and they work hard, then what happens? Okay? Listen for that part. I'm gonna back it up right to here.
And the opportunity for farmers to take up 160 acres of land and to develop that land very much fit in with this philosophy, which was at the core, I think, of Lincoln's ideology. Give everybody an opportunity. And then if they work hard, they'll get ahead and they'll develop America.
And so right there, what would I list as my cause and my effect? Allie? People work hard. And that would be the cause. And if they worked hard, what would happen? What would be the effect? What's that?
You get the land.
No, that's not what it said. Izzy?
You could develop America.
They could help to develop America. And what they mean by that is income to America. America was still a really new country at that time. And so they were working to make money and make a name for themselves. And by growing crops and developing their land, they could sell those crops to gain money and become more and more rich as the years go by. And that's the developing that they're talking about. And I guess I forgot to put the word develop in there. So it should say your cause is that people work hard. Your effect is they can help develop America. I forgot a word in there. By develop, they mean make money and make it more fruitful, or make more for the people in America. Instead of just barren land sitting there with nothing going on, they're using that land to create things. Colin?
You know if Abraham Lincoln knows that?
I didn't
It
know.
looked like his left eye was kind of like up.
I don't know. John?
You just said nothing would go on, and nothing would go on in America, but the Native Americans were there to make.
They were there too. They were also growing crops in that land too. They were. All right, I'm gonna continue the video on. You see if you can pick out anything in this firsthand account that we listened to yesterday from this guy, J.G. Towley. See if you can find any cause and effect in there.
March 1st, 1884. Dear old friends, you speak of going to Nebraska. Let me say to you that Nebraska is a nice country, but the government lands are about all taken there. I came to Dakota 3 years ago last fall with Mr. Wilder. We liked it then, and we still like it. I could start from my very door and mow a straight 100 miles if I choose. The same with breaking no stumps, no roots, with very few stones to interfere in any way. Soil's good. It makes a fella feel good to get good crops. Homestead or tree clean costs first on entry $14. And the time of proof of residence costs $4 more, making $18 for 160 acres. Is this cheap enough for you? If so, pull up stakes and come to Dakota as soon as you can. When you are about ready to start, write me and I will tell you where to land here. Newcomers are arriving here to get a slice of Uncle Sam's domain. And what other folks can do, why with patience cannot you. Only keep this rule in view. Come to Dakota and begin anew. J.G. Towley.
The primary reason people came out to the Great Plains was because of land.
Let's see if we can pick out a cause and effect out of that sentence. The primary reason, I'm going to back up so you can see it. The primary reason that people came out to the Great Plains was the land. Can you identify what would be the cause in that statement? Lucia, what would be the cause?
And why all like Nebraska was taken up by other people.
Oh, okay. Nebraska is actually a part of the Great Plains, but that could be considered a different cause and effect, right? We could say that the cause of people coming to Dakota, the effect would be people coming to the Dakota Territory was the fact that Nebraska was all filled up. That could be a cause and effect. We could put that one in there.
That's what I thought.
So let's put Nebraska was full. And the effect of that was that people came to where, Lucia? We're gonna call it the Dakota Territory. Because at that time, they just referred to most of what is South Dakota and North Dakota and a little bit of some of the other surrounding states. They referred to that as the Dakota Territory. Okay, and then out of this statement that I have paused here on the board, how can I, or what cause and effect can I pick out of there? The statement is, the primary reason people came to the Great Plains was the land. What is the cause and what is the effect? Kyler?
The primary reason they came to the Great Plains.
And which is that? The effect or the cause?
Cause.
Is that the cause?
Oh, no.
What
that's the
caused
effect.
them? That is the effect. So the effect would be that they came to the Great Plains. And then Kyler, what would be the cause of the people coming to the Great Plains?
There was rich soil.
There was, first off, they had what? Land. And we could say land with good soil. I wish I could highlight this and move it up like I can on my board, because I'm running out of room.
That would be really cool.
When I start the video again, it's gonna show right away another cause and effect that has to do with that good soil that Kyler was talking about. There's another cause and effect that they'll talk about.
I saw another one before.
Might have been during that guy's talk. We're gonna talk about any other ones afterwards. So if you have one that's different and you picked it out, that's great. We'll talk about it afterwards. We'll add it to the list. I can't remember now if that's during the guy's talk or during this. So I'll play it, and then if there's another one, maybe I'll pause it. I can't remember. I think it actually might have been back when the other guy was talking.
Primary reason people came out to the Great Plains was because of land. The Land Acts during the 1800s provided free land or greatly reduced cost land to the people who came out. And at the time, the United States and the world was an agrarian society. And so land ownership meant economic
Ooh, okay.
enhancement.
I'm gonna pause
It
right
meant-
there. I'm gonna back it up. Those are big words, and I want to talk about those big words because inside of those big words is another cause and effect. Okay, so land ownership means what? Raise your hand. Land ownership means what? John?
Well, that you own the land.
That you own the lands. Now, the second part of this, it says land ownership means economic enhancement. Economic enhancement. Does anybody know what economic means, Freeland?
Does it mean like outside?
I'm gonna give you a hint. You ready?
Economy?
Oh, money. Yeah. Economic is a big word for money. When we talk about economics, we talk about a lot of things, but it mostly boils down to money. So what do you think economic enhancement means? Ryan?
Like kind of like a money ownership, like, I don't know.
If I own land, and that means economic enhancement,
Like
What
buy
do you-
the land.
you buy the land and what happens to you then, Legend?
You lose. money.
Enhancement means it gets bigger or better. So if I have economic enhancement, it means what, Kyler?
More money.
More money. So what would be the cause and the effect here? What would be the cause and the effect? Land ownership means economic enhancement. Land ownership means economic enhancement. Hadley, what would be the cause and the effect in this one? But in the process, right away, yes, obviously, when you go buy land, you're gonna lose that money. But the point of buying the land is to be able to grow the crops and get money. So what would be the cause and what would be the effect, Hadley? Easy as that. So economic enhancement, or excuse me, land ownership, so we'll put owning land is the cause, and the effect of owning land is that they make more money. That's the same reason why even today people buy land. Yes, you lose money right off the bat because you have to pay for the land right away. But the purpose of buying the land is so that you can use that land to make yourself more money, right? That's the goal. Very good.
Bills back then?
What's that?
Did they like to have to pay bills?
They used what they called notes. It's kind of the same thing, slightly different. But yes, they did have like bills and stuff like that too.
And so land ownership meant economic enhancement, it meant power, it meant a future for your family. So the vast majority of people came out to seize on the opportunities that free land presented to them.
When I began to research my great-grandfather, I didn't know very much about him. Joseph Marquardt, the wheat king of Logan County, I knew those few facts about him, that somehow between 1886, when he fled Russia and landed in Dakota Territory, and in the 1930s when he died, he managed to accumulate almost 6,000 acres of land. Well, inevitably you have to say, how did he do that? My great-grandfather left because he got involved in a little altercation with the commanding officer, and he was secretly taken out under cover of darkness. When they came to the Dakota Territory and got oxen carts and then made their way north to this completely unbroken landscape. Apparently my great-grandfather's response to it was just complete awe, amazement, excitement, just exhilaration. He saw what he would make of it. He saw a kind of a completely blank canvas that he could just build a life on.
So just in that 5-minute video, we picked out all of these different causes and effects. And you know what? There's more. There's even more than that. There's even more than we found. If we watched it 2 times again, I bet we could pick out more. And I know some of you did pick out more. So let's hear if you found any more. I'm going to have to put my extra ones over here because I ran out of room there.
Just erase the.
So I'm just going to go like this. Oops, that's not how you spell cause. Cause and effect. So I'll just be taking them over here, but that's okay. And let's see, I would like, Colin, will you turn the lights back on first? We don't need the lights off anymore. Ellie, did you pick out any different cause and effects in that story?
Yeah.
What did you find?
I said that there was good soil and it made the people happy
It did make the people happy because why?
because they could farm the ground.
So we can actually pick out a set of cause and effects there. So let's start with this. Watch with me. And if you have room, go ahead and take extra notes. If you're all out, it's okay. I'm not going to go in and make sure you have every single one, right? But if you have the space, it would be really good to take notes. So Ellie started off with good soil. And what would the effect, the immediate effect, Ellie, of that good soil be?
That made
There's something in between there in the making people happy. What part of the good soil makes people happy, John? The good soil,
It's good crop.
grows good crops. Good soil grows good crops. And then those good crops can turn around and be a cause for then what, Ellie?
Making people happy.
Making people happy. So sometimes we can pick out a process of cause and effect. Sometimes there's more than one cause and effect. It kind of makes a chain of cause and effect as we go through. Anybody else pick out any other cause and effect in the story? Logan, what did you find?
J.G. Salary, he traveled with the Wilders and he found out Dakota was a good land.
So he traveled and he landed in Dakota and he found what?
Good land.
He found good land. So the cause would be he traveled, we'll put west because he traveled west,
Is that
and he found good land. Yeah, Kyle?
is that supposed to say making people happy?
Yeah, it should. I guess I never finished happy.
Making people.
Making people. Well, if you think about it, good crops
Make
make
people.
people. They grow the people, right? Gotta have food.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so Mr. Towley traveled west and he found some good land. Tate, what cause and effect did you find in the story?
No stones.
And what did that make?
It was easy to mow.
Yeah, so we can put no stones in soil. And the cause or the effect of that was that it was easier
To mow.
to mow or to grow crops on.
That's like a bunch of them.
We could pick out so many different causes and effects. My favorite text structure is cause and effect because I like to know why things happen. That's something I enjoy. I like to know the why. Why does it happen that way? How did it work? I want to know why. I love cause and effect. Legend, did you pick out any other ones?
So at the end, when the lady was talking about her grandfather, how he left, I don't know where it was,
Yeah.
Russia, and then he came to North Dakota. That should be a cause and effect.
It would. What was the cause of him leaving Russia?
He got.
This is another one where we can pick out a chain of that. So what was the cause of him leaving Russia?
He got in trouble.
He got in trouble. We'll leave it at that. He got in trouble. And the effect of him getting in trouble
He
is
went
that
to
he
Dakota Territory.
left the country. He left the country. We'll put he left Russia because that's where I think it's in Ukraine, but Russia and Ukraine are right next to each other, so we'll just go with Russia. She said Russia and they showed Ukraine, so I'm not really sure
And
which
then
one.
they showed North Dakota.
They did.
Right.
And so because he left Russia, then what happened? That's our new cause. He left Russia, and the effect of that cause of him leaving Russia is that what, fifth grade?
He went to Dakota
He
Territory.
He came to the
He owns
Dakota Territory. Oh, we'll get to that in a minute. This one could be a long chain. We could get a whole nother set in there. We could have 3 chains of cause and effect for this one.
both of my pages.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. Do you see how cause and effect can be so interesting? You can break everything down to its teeny tiny little parts. And so then let's do this one last one. We can build off of this. So first, he got in trouble and he left Russia. Then he left Russia and came to the Dakota Territory. Because he came to the Dakota Territory, then what was the effect? Raise your hands if you can tell me. I'm just gonna put DT for Dakota Territory instead of writing it out again. Because he came to the Dakota Territory, then what happened? Izzy?
He owned 6,000 acres of
He
land.
acquired is a word that means he gathered. acquired 6,000 acres of land. That's a really long list of causes and effects. Do you see how everything could have a cause and an effect? Every single thing we talk about, everything we read can have some cause and effect in there that helps us to understand why things happen as we go through a story. What's the reason that things happen? Everything has a reason, doesn't it?
I have a cause and effect. I was writing down my paper causes. I was writing causes and effects on my book. The effect is I got a paper cut.
Or the cause could be I was writing in all the causes and effects, and the effect was now my page is full, right? Because there were so many to read.
Yeah.
I know some of you had more than that, and we're just gonna table that discussion for today. You guys did an excellent job, okay? Now what I want to do is explain to you the other job that you'll have today. You'll have another job. Okay? We do. All right. And so you have, one last job. Okay? On your computer in the Ed My Friend website, I have assigned the video to you. Your job today is to watch the video again and use the video to help you answer these two questions. Here are the two questions. First one says, what attracted homesteaders to the new land? We have picked out causes and effects, and you can find even more from the story. What attracted homesteaders to the new land? Take out your know it, show it books for just a second, and I'm going to have you put in a number where you tell me how many things you need to explain it. How many details you need, or how many reasons they were attracted to it. So on page 84, next to number 1, put the number 2. You need 2 reasons why the homesteaders were attracted to the new land. Okay, 2 reasons for that. For number 2, the question says, why was the land for free? There's only one true answer for that. There's one true answer for that. Okay, one solid answer. What do you absolutely have to do to get these questions correct? Elliot?
Restate.
And you have to do it. On the last assignments, I took so many points off because some of you aren't restating. If you just say because they wanted the free land, I will count it wrong. That's not correct. That's not restating. So if you're somebody who needs a reminder, put the words or the letters RESTATE in capital letters at the top of your page so that you restate the question. Even if you get the answer right, I still take points off for not restating. And if you do that for every question in the packet, that's a lot of missing points. Understood?
That you're spelling my name when you wrote the R.
I'm not. Okay, so take out your planners.
So much better when I
Guys, we technically do have You have 2 assignments for reading today. First one is Know It, Show It, page 83. Second one is Know It, Show It, page 84. You also have to rewatch the video. If you don't, I will know. It tells me if you watch the video. So you're going to need out your computer and your headphones, and you're going to have to watch the video one more time, all by yourself. Use what you hear in the video, what we took notes on today to help you answer the questions. Logan. It's your choice. I'm not too particular about the order.
So waiting for the address.
So what are you going to have to do tonight, Tate? You have to get it done. No questions asked. If it doesn't come tomorrow, then I'm gonna have to take points off of your writing assignment. Understood? This is the last time I'm giving you a chance. All right, does anybody have questions about your assignments today? I'm gonna put up a timer for approximately 15 minutes. And then we will take a bathroom break and get started on next. Oops, not up. I wanted to go down. No, I did want to go up. All right. 15 minutes.